Hello everyone, this is AUR here. I'll be breaking down this new song of mine that I did a few days ago, in May 18th, like probably 2 weeks ago from the time that I'm recording this video, or almost 3 weeks ago that I started it. So this is the intro project. I've worked on it for like 3.5 hours or so. This is just intro stuff, the second verse stuff, like as you can see right here, and then some outro stuff. It's mostly the stuff that is repeating itself over and over again, and there's a builds and everything, and I actually have my drops right here that are silent because I've rendered them from another project, and I'm using Celeron, so my laptop cannot handle like a whole song in just one project, so I often do like intro in one project and a drop in second and then another drop in third, or maybe both the drop in one project if the drops are almost the same and I just need to like change the genre or the style or the bounce or stuff a bit, or just add a little bit more variety to the second drop. So let's start with some of the main elements. So first of all, these are the vocals, a milk splice vocal that I have. So I'm gonna show you where it's going. It's going into mixer number 26, and it's pitched up by like a semitone or so, and it's going into two channels. First, it's going into the master channel, and then it's going into my melodic bus where I have all the melodic stuff routed to. And what it's doing there is basically just using Soothe 2 as like a sidechain input to mask all the elements that are coming through in the song. So the vocals are basically just masking everything. But I have Soothe 2 off because it'll just lag my CPU, and I have GoFoss off as well for the same reason. These two plugins won't be working in this project, this breakdown that I'll be doing. So let's go over the processing chain for the vocals. So first of all, this is the vocal.
It's like no, 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 no. Whenever I fall back in that fade, it's like no, 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 no.
That's the dry vocal, and then some distortion.
It's like no, 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 no. Whenever I fall back in that fade, it's like no, 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 no. I never wanna get back to that state, just waiting for you. Oh, too late to keep it up.
I'm using Accentized Chameleon 2, where I have actually like yoinked a vocal reverb profile from one of the Aloma Steel vocal packs. So I'm using that more often in my vocal production now because it sounds ethereal and like ambient-y to add this huge atmosphere to the vocal that I'm doing. So it's basically these, and then I have another EQ to just get rid of the low end. In this EQ I'm actually getting rid of the low end as well as boosting the vocals like 6 dB or so. And this other reverb is like a room reverb, which actually activates in the later part of the song, which I'll be showing you later on as we go through the project. So here's the vocal with its all settings and all the mixing channel and everything on.
It's like no, 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 no. Whenever I fall back in that fade, it's like no, 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 no.
So now let's just get rid of the vocal and get right into some other elements. So these are some air candy elements, like some sweeps and some impacts for an introductory thing, and then there's some atmospheres that I make myself. So these are actually made in Quanta. I'll show you here. So here's my Quanta. I'm using a sample from a sample pack by Oversample called Polychrome, which is a color-based kind of sample pack. And here's this melodic loop. And so if I play a note on here, you can hear some really fairly mythical and ethereal kind of sounds coming in through. So I'm just gonna disable all of this. so my CPU doesn't lag. And what's happening here is basically it's just going through decapitators for saturation, then some fruity convolver with the pink noise preset actually, like, as you can see the blur pink. Okay, so then there's a Valhalla shimmer on max settings and all of these settings to give it more ambient result, and then just getting rid of the low end in there, and that's giving me this two versions where I'm playing a higher note and a lower note and sustain, and then I resample them into here, and this is how it sounds like. Alright, that's it. And then I have the same sample in here with some volume envelope and then a frequency shifter that is actually a ring modulation settings to basically just make a wobble that starts fast and then goes slow over time. So this is how it sounds like. It's the same atmospheric loop. And that's probably it for the atmosphere stuff. Now going over to this section. It's a Reese bass from Serum. Let me show you what the patch looks like. Also sorry if you're hearing some background noises from my family. I don't have a room to myself. So here's a Reese patch, some sub like sine wave, -2 octaves, some noise, and -3 octaves. This kind of wavetable, it looks like custom wavetable with like 8 voices in the unison, and then there's another saw wave with the same octave 3 octaves down with 11 voices in the unison, and then there's some mono and legato settings. For the FX, it's just an EQ to get rid of the high-end stuff, and that's basically just it. There's no more processing. But then it's routed to this mixer channel where I'm distorting it with a KHS distortion overdrive mode on these settings, and then I'm taming the sides here. So this one is only letting through the mid signal, and this one is only letting through the side signal, and then I'm getting rid of the sides in the low end to make it more stable. And then there's Pro Q3 to get rid of all the low end information and the high end information, just leave these low mids alone, which is giving it this warm breeze texture that we want for our song. So here it is. Yeah, that's basically just it. There's no more stuff going around in the low mid section for me. And then there's another loop here. I usually consolidate my stuff because my PC cannot handle anything that is going into the MIDI, so I wanted to consolidate the Reese and the sub bass and everything as well, but I didn't have time and the project was already finished, so I didn't do that. But here is some ethereal plucky thingy. So again, it's a Serum. It's a glassy pluck patch. So it's analog MIDI sine wavetable, some basic shape wavetable, some filtering, some plucky envelope, and then metal tick noise, some sub for more sine wave stuff, some hyperdimension, distortion, compression, multiband compression to be specific, and then some EQ to get rid of the low end, and that's it. So it sounds like this. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the processing. So it's going to mixer channel 4. There's a fruity convolver with the same preset, but like 50% or so mix, and then there's KHS distortion to saturate this thing. Then there's endosmile to make it even more ambient. Then there's some OTT to compress the sound a little bit, so it's not doing upward expansion, but only doing the downward compression with like 58%, and then the depth is 62% or so. And then there's just EQ to get rid of the low end, and here as well, and then it's just resampled in here like this. yeah, that's pretty much it. And then, okay, so this is an AU5 inspired patch that I made myself. I did this wavetable with my hands. It's just a half saw wave and half square wave. And then there's a plucky envelope from giving it this plucky feeling, and then there's just ping pong delay on a BPM 1/4 on both. And then there's some mono legato with these Porta settings. And it's going into mixer channel 5. Here's some EQ, like a really steep EQ curve here, like this band, which actually expands over time as I'm automating it to open up the time, as you'll be looking at in just a little bit. And then there's some OTT on it for compression, some distortion, some saturation, and then there's a glue compressor with this vocal lead soft preset to tame it a little bit more. There's a Valhalla shimmer on these settings, some 30% mix, and then there's a pretty EQ to maintain the sound in this range only and not add in the high end and all of that stuff. And this here is actually controlling the amount that is coming in through with a volume envelope, yeah. And this is where it opens up. So this is a EQ automation where it opens up. So I'm just gonna play it over here, and then you'll see how the EQ opens up right here. Yeah, that's it for that patch. And then there's some ear candy swelling. I think I took it from probably these, or maybe some piano or something from right here. So let's go over here and listen to this patch. It's a lo-fi pad, yeah. It's going through some distortion and some high pass and a boost, and that's pretty much it. There's this piano, probably, yeah, it's piano. Let me play it here. Really beautiful chords. So this is a Labs soft piano. As you can see here, I have a Labs open right here. The Labs is going into mixer number 8. There's a spectral compressor for making the sound tamed a little bit, and then also for making the sound like even. So if I were to like gain the overall volume of the thing, it'll just be compressed and it'll gain everything at the same amount. So there's some EQ and some Valhalla shimmer on the same 30% mix and all these settings, and then there's just a low cut, another EQ. That's pretty much it. And then I just resampled it to this thing right here. It's going over to the mixer channel 9 and some more low cut, and it's going into my melodic bus. And then there's this vocal texture as a pad. I've actually took this from a sample pack and then did some panning automation, as you can see here. So it's going from left to right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and then resampled it into this one, which is going into the mixer channel 12. But first, I think it was going right here, yeah, with like endless smile to give it more ambient character and some EQ. And then when resample, it's just here going in through my melodic bus. And then the next element is probably the sub. Just a sine wave going through some distortion, overdrive for KHS, and a really steep low high cut. then a fruity compressor with some gain on it. It's basically just working like a limiter, but I have like 9.5 dB gain. So even if I make it go down right here on the mixer fader, it'll still sound a lot louder. And then it's just monoed right here, and it's going through the sidechain bus, not the melodic bus, because everything there is high passed. And then we have our drums. Some kick. And by the way, my drum processing is going through this drum bus where I have a Panks plugin with the increased dynamics preset on 50%, and then I have the glue with this preset called drum full parallel. You can find it here, this one. So yeah, that's doing like a parallel compression in a series of some sort. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this section. And then there's some other ear candy stuff, some exhaust, some more exhaust, some build-up stuff, some build-up drums, some build-up kicks, some more white noise exhausts. All of this stuff is coming in through, and I have introduced the drop a little bit in here to like introduce the drop as in the build, that it's like filtered, as well as there's an automation, volume automation, as you can see here, like this one. And that's it for the first section. Now the second section is the same stuff, same air candy and everything. But what I've changed here is do some processing with like reverb and pulsing the beat kind of thing, and change some drums in here. So these are the new drums that I'm using right here for this section. There's some room reverb going on the drums that is not kick. So these claps and everything else has a room reverb on it, including these hi-hat or top loops. And then the rest of the stuff is actually going through the sidechain bus right here, which has a flux mini, giving it this kind of envelope, like a plucky envelope. And then there's a patcher where I'm letting through some of the low mids till like the very high end, and it's going through this room reverb preset that I've made that is applied to the vocal as well as the other elements and the drums. And then the low end and the low mids that are coming through are basically just not affected, so I don't have anything that's phasing or messed up in the low end through this. And then there's just fruity send for the sidechain. Endless smile, I'm automating this in my build-up to make it more open, like airy kind of stuff. So here's what it sounds like with these settings. This is done by the Flux Mini and the room reverb and everything. And the vocal right here also has this reverb.
No.
Oh, let me just okay, so here's the reverb.
No. Whenever I fall back in the fade, it's like no. I never.
So vocal is also going through the room reverb alongside every other element in here, and everything else is the same. Then that room reverb just dips down and stuff becomes normal like before. Then the same build up, the same stuff. and then there's a outro. Let me just play everything together if my PC doesn't crash. I'm just slowly automating the endless smile here to go into ambient mode, and then just letting everything go down from here, so it ends with the master fader going down in my master project. And this is pretty much it for the intro project for my new song that'll be coming out on June 21st on Mithril Records. And I'll see you in the next project, which is the drop project. So yeah, the drop project, I've spent like 3.5 hours worth in this one as well. I'm calling it future D&B because that's usually my style, and then speed house as well because I'm going into the 180 BPM kind of a housey flow for the second drop. But I don't think it's speed house as well, because someone actually said that it could be called color hardcore or something because I'm using colory elements, the basses and everything. Most of the stuff here is consolidated because it takes a lot of my CPU to actually work out these things. So I'm just gonna go through all of these things one by one. Just gonna disable go fast in here to not take over my CPU. And now let's get into it. So this is the first layer. It sounds like this. Let me actually disable the drums, or actually let's show you the drums first. There's some kicks, some claps, some hi-hats, and all of that shenanigan for the D&B pattern. And then there's this house pattern for the second drop. And then there's some claps coming in, some happy hardcore claps. And some crashes. Alright, so these are basically just all the drums. Now I'm just gonna disable all the drums, and then let's focus on everything that's not the drums and the drop. Alright, let's go. First, this one. Let me go over here into this one. So it's actually this one right here in the pattern 7. It's a harmor patch that I made with these prism settings, and then randomized this timbre of this waveform, and then only playing this waveform right here. And I'm messing with the volume automation here, like a volume envelope to make it plucky, and then the pitch envelope to make it more plucky, and then there's a timbre with randomized timbre. And I'm also messing with these harmonizer with these settings, then some unison on these settings with the random mode on. And then I'm going over to the phaser section and doing classical and with these settings, and then the glassy and kind of twinkly texture is actually coming from this one. So if you go in here and select the special noise effect and bring the resonance down to here, you'll get something like this. This is how it sounds like. And there's no effects actually here, just some compression over here with these amount of burning and this kind of settings, and that's pretty much it for this patch. And I'm playing some chords with like a strum mode in here, so it's giving me this audio right here. Let me just disable the sidechain and everything. Sounds like this. And then with some processing like high pass and then some transient shaper to get rid of some of the tails and focus more on the attacks. Sounds like this. It's a pretty cool ear candy thing you can do for your drops. And then there's this layer. It's just some basic saw wave chords. Let me just find. Alright. This is pattern 1 with the Serum saw chords patch. It's from a Kawaii bass sample pack, if I recall correctly, and I gave it this stuttery, chopped up chord progression. So it sounds like this on its own. I'm playing it on 2 low notes, but it's fine. It sounds like this. And then it's resampled in here, going into the mixer channel 1, where I'm having some dispersion on it, and then some EQ that actually opens up like a filter, and then some more EQ to not mess up the low end when the EQ does its thing. You can see the automations here. These frequency automations here are for the chords. So they open up and then close down. And that's pretty much it for this pattern or this layer. There's a Reese layer in here. It's another Serum patch with these settings, some basic shapes, a sine wave. Here's another sine wave. There's some noise, some saw wave, plucky envelope and everything with these Parta settings, and some EQ to get rid of the high end. That is also part of the intro project, but the wavetable here is changed. And that's pretty much it. And then it's going to mixer channel 2 with the same settings of distortion, more distortion than the intro ones, and mid-side taming, and then Pro Q3 with these settings. And this is how it sounds like in context. And then there's this layer. You won't believe me, but it's actually slap house bass. Let me show you. Yeah, it's literally just a slap house bass. And I'm using the slap house bass for my DNB drop. So it's going into mixer channel 3 with some dispersion for phase shift, not dispersion, because I don't know if dispersion is even possible in the digital realm. And some distortion, some mid-side detune, which is letting through the mids in one phase, and then putting some detune on the entire signal, and then only letting the sides through. So the mono is not detuned, but the sides are actually detuned. And then there's the low end cut. Without these settings, it sounds like this. Disperser, distortion, and then mid-side detune, and then low end cut. And that's it. Then there's my sub, just a sine wave with some distortion, just saturation, and then this kind of EQ, high cut, and then a limiter. And then there's this patch. So it's actually a Future Rhythm Solid from one of my packs that I use a lot. Sounds like this. It's really lush and everything, and then I just resampled it right here, and then all the wobbly sound is coming through the filter. So here it is. These settings, the frequency and everything. Okay, so it's going into this chain, the lead chain, where there's some multi-band compression, some sound godizer, some reverb, some camel crusher for more distortion and everything, and a fruity delay, and then this sort of EQ, and it's going into this lead bus again with some more saturation, some more EQ, and then the wobbly sound is coming from this filter. And then there's some endless smile to give it some reverb back, give it some ethereal character, and then just low cut and then boosting everything, and then it's going straight to the sidechain bus. And that's pretty much it for the lead, but then it has another layer that sounds like this. Just a happy hardcore lead, which is going through the same processing and everything, just the same mixer channels, and that's it. And then here's some atmosphere. The atmosphere is actually going into this bus right here, where I have Flux Mini that is giving this hardcore kind of settings with the 1/4 sync on, the mode and everything. So in the second drop, this thing turns on, and then everything just sounds like bouncy. So I'm just gonna play these. And with the atmosphere, and this combined with the house tempo kind of drums, like the house beat style and everything, it's pretty much just hardcore. And then there's this layer, a plucky atmospheric layer, which is actually a sampler. I'm taking a Xylent plug in here, and it's going through Fruity Convolver, the pink blur preset, and then some saturation, some endless smile for more reverb, then OTT for more compression stuff, and then just taming the sides a tad bit down, and that's it. And it's going through the sidechain bus. So, yeah, there's that, and then there's one last layer that remains. Alright, let's break it down. So pattern number 8. This MIDI is controlling chroma, which I'll show you. So this is the bass patch, which is going through mixer number 21. So here it is, and just get rid of the processing and everything. It kind of sounds the same like the one that I showed you, the twinkly Cardiplex, but this time it's just a sine wave. No, it's a saw wave right here with this kind of volume envelope, and I'm messing with the phaser width right here, with the phaser settings on these, and on condom mode and the harmonic mode in here, and so it sounds like this by itself. Now let's turn on some of the effects one by one. Some mid-side detune, some OTT, some saturation, some more OTT, and then some KHS distortion, some spectral compression for taming the sound a little bit and making it even, and then some high pass, and then some fruity compressor for limiting the sound. And now when you open up the chroma and enable it, the MIDI is going through here, and these are basically just a song chords that are coming in through, so it's giving it this color basy feel that I actually apply a lot in my recent songs. So here's what it sounds like. So that's why someone mentioned that I should call this drop just some color hardcore instead of speed house. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this section, this drop, or both drops, to be honest. And that's it. That's the drops for my new song, Wherever You Go. And I hope you learned some new stuff, some interesting concepts from this one. I have some other projects as well that are pretty much experimental, combining color base elements, some spectral processing, spectral bases, and all the Harmor, spectral suite plugins, shenanigans, and really interesting glitchy stuff that I do with my projects. As you saw, there was a glitch 2 plugin which I actually didn't need because it was part of my other bass chain that I used for my color bass song. So in here I actually didn't use it. So I hope you enjoyed the video and learned some stuff from it. If you have any questions, just leave them down in the comment section below. And if you want any other projects that I can go through, any other songs that are coming out in the future, not in the past, because I actually lost all of my projects and everything. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you'll have a good day, and I hope to see you soon. So bye, take care, and ta-da.